Okay, guys, so for the Lost in the Barrens summary, what you're going to do is you're going to summarize the entire story of Lost in the Barrens, and you're going to do it in no more than 300 words. So it has to be very short. So you're only going to include the most important stuff, like turning points, who the main characters were, basically the most important stuff that happened in the book. So 300 words, no more. And then you're going to create a very brief review, which is one paragraph. So like basically a second paragraph. And in your review, you're going to tell me what you liked or didn't like about the book. And you're going to say whether you liked or didn't like it. So this is where you get to say what you thought of the book, honestly. I'm not going to dock you marks if you didn't like it. Tell me you didn't like it. Tell me why you didn't like it. Or if you really liked it, tell me what you liked about it. That's it. That's the assignment. Don't do it unless you have completely finished reading it, okay? Straightforward. Everybody gets that? You guys are really...
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Now, next up, we're going to go on a little bit of a field trip. All right, so who here has ever heard of Frankenstein? I have traveled...
Me.
Well, at least one person has heard of Frankenstein. So for those of you who maybe haven't heard of Frankenstein, he's usually depicted as like this green humanoid monster with bolts in the side of his head and a really bad haircut. Oh, Ephraim's heard of him. Maybe other people are responding in Muscamon. I'm just not seeing it. Anyway, when I think of Frankenstein, I usually picture like 1800s England. So I picture trains, but not a lot of cars, still some wagons and stuff. Lots of like pretty stone buildings. I usually picture it as being kind of dark and overcast, a little bit creepy. Electricity is still a pretty new invention. That's the world I picture when I think of Frankenstein. Now, does anybody else kind of picture that too when they think about Frankenstein? Like, you know what I mean with that kind of setting? Yeah. Like, we're talking about 150 years ago. So not like super ancient, but pretty old. No? Well, but you know what I mean when I'm talking about that kind of setting, right? Okay, good. So I want you guys to imagine for a minute that we're going to be visiting a place like that. Imagine you're going to a village or a small town, and it's kind of like that. So really you have to get around with trains. There's no cell phones, no planes, nothing like that.
Mr. Snodgrass?
Mm-hmm.
I found the place.
Which place?
The older town.
Oh, did you? Cool, let me find you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let me join you here. Yeah, because where I am looks pretty okay, but maybe you found something better. Okay, so anyway, guys, we're imagining that you are freshly arrived to this creepy little town. And when you get there, you have been assigned to assist a reporter. Now, this reporter is a pretty big fan of school uniforms. And your job is to kind of just support them and agree with them whether or not you actually agree with school uniforms and think they're a good idea. Now, once you're there, your boss ends up getting super sick with some sort of plague or something that apparently is going on around town. So your job is going to be to finish writing their article for them. Now, this is in Moodle. It's under Ingolstadt 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to go over how to do Ingolstadt 1, which is the completion of this article on school uniforms. So it's going to prime you. It's going to start you out. It's going to give you the first paragraph, and it's going to give you a couple sentences of the second paragraph. And what you need to do for the first assignment in Ingolstadt, which is labeled like Ingolstadt Q1, is write at least 3 sentences giving more evidence for why school uniforms are a good idea. Now, even if you don't like school uniforms and you think they're absolutely ridiculous, you need to give 3 reasons why they're a good idea. Because this is part of learning how to write essays. You need to be able to argue for both sides to do it really, really well. And Isaiah, I'm kind of busy right at the moment, but you can after class. Now, that's it for the first one. You're going to have a little bit of information. There's going to be some resources for you to read. But you need to come up with 3 reasons why school uniforms are a good reason, or are a good idea. And then there's a Quester reflection. Always make sure you answer your Quester reflections. For these, you're just giving your opinion, like you're speaking honestly. So as long as you tell the truth and you don't just say, I don't know, or I don't care, or whatever, and you actually like make an attempt at answering honestly, using full sentences, you're going to get marks. Because it's just opinions, right? Now, if you get lost or confused because it's a pretty long-looking assignment, I've highlighted the important stuff that you guys need to work on for 1. I think I did for 2 and 3. I'm going to double check, but I'm about 99% sure I highlighted everything. So yeah, just go through, follow that for 1. For number 2, it's labeled, it has its whole new section. It's like Ingolstadt Q2, a letter to mom, or a letter to home or something. And what you're going to do for that one is you're going to read a little bit about an argument that's been going on in this town. Because you remember how I just told you that your boss got sick? Or gets sick? Guys, I need you to join me. All right, good. I need to know you're paying attention. Okay, good. Well, apparently there's this massive outbreak going on in this creepy little town. Now you're going to learn that there is a doctor who thinks that he can find a cure for this plague, which might actually end up killing the entire town if he doesn't. But in order to find this cure, he is running a whole bunch of tests and experiments on this creature he's made, which looks surprisingly like Frankenstein's monster. So it looks humanoid, but he made it using like chemicals and electricity and probably putting together body parts. Pretty creepy. So he's running tests and experiments on this creature to try to find out if he can find a plague or a cure for the plague. Some people think this is a great idea because you need to find a cure for the plague. Other people in the town think it's not a very good idea because he's doing these tests to this living creature against its will. It doesn't want to have these tests done to it. Now, your job in writing a letter to your mom, don't worry, there's actually a thing for you to read that explains both sides. But your job is to write a letter to your mom. So make it a little flavorful. Imagine you haven't seen your mom in a few weeks or whatever. Make sure you put your name and date and like yours truly, stuff like that. And you're just going to tell her both sides of the debate. You're not going to tell her which side you agree with. You're just going to give her the facts. So no opinions, just facts. And then there's another quest of reflection, and that's it for assignment 2. Now these are all part of one document. Sure, Levi. Yeah, these are all part of one document as you scroll down. So they're all there. You just hand them all in at once. Don't worry about handing them in separate or anything like that. And then when you get to the third one, just a sec here. Number 3 is broken into a couple parts. So when you scroll down, it'll say Ingolstadt Q3, don't teach a fish to swim. Now, this is where you're going to start actually writing what you think and what you agree with. Now, Ingolstadt Quest 3 is broken into 2 sections, guys. The first section, you're just going to, without reading the stuff in blue, because there's some stuff written in blue under Q3, you're going to give your gut reaction. Do you think that the doctor should continue his experiments or not? And why do you think that? So it's going to be like a few sentences. So we'll probably aim for about 5 sentences explaining whether or not you think the doctor should continue his experiments and why you think that. Then you're going to read some stuff in blue. It's going to have a few extra facts for you. And then you're going to write a second paragraph explaining whether or not you've changed your mind and why. And that is it for number 3. So we're looking at, maybe 10 sentences for number 3. So try to get this done this week. It's not too much to handle in a week, especially since this is really the only assignment you're getting, since I don't expect you guys to finish the summary this week unless you are all done and working ahead. So if you guys get confused or forget or are ever not sure what you're doing, please email me because I'm happy to help you. Does anybody have any questions about these assignments, or can we do a little bit of exploring?
Nope.
Okay, so this is clear to everyone. We're learning how to write essays, by the way, and this is a really good way to start getting a hang of the basics. All right, wonderful, guys. So when I was talking about a creepy little town, I was thinking, imagine this place 100 or 200 years ago. Just so you can get a feel for what the town might have looked like. See how these buildings look pretty different than the kind of buildings we usually see around our towns these days?
Yeah.
See how the streets are usually made of like brick and cobblestone? It's just got that really old stone feeling to it. Well, it's kind of like that, except imagine there's also a large body of water, so they have docks as well. So lots of fishing. And then there's this plague coming through. Nobody knows how to cure it, except for maybe this doctor. So some of you may have heard that the next unit we're going to be starting, guys, is a foods unit. Now, you may be wondering, how are we going to do a foods unit? We are not even together. And well, I've been racking my brain trying to answer that question. And I've concluded that what we're going to do, starting next week, is be learning all about some different kitchen safety tips and tricks and ways to safely handle food. We're also going to be going around and getting people to bring in recipes, maybe from the kinds of stuff that your ancestors or like your great-grandparents might have made. I'll check that out right after, okay, Isaiah? So we're going to be learning any sort of cultural dishes that each of you and your families might use. And to top it off, we're going to be having a virtual cook-off. So after you've learned all about proper food handling techniques and how to cook things properly, we're going to have a cook-off in a kitchen in 3DU. Now, the idea is what you learn here, you should actually be able to use in a real kitchen. It's just we don't exactly have a real kitchen. I invited you, Levi, a while ago. Let me invite you again here. You don't have to build it. Sam is also working on building a kitchen. Building a kitchen isn't really part of the assignment, but if you want to, feel free. There you go.
So it's not really tasting, it's more looking at it.
Well, you can. I strongly do not recommend licking the computer screen, no matter how tasty something looks. You're not actually going to be able to taste it.
Okay.
Now, if your parents want to work with you, you can actually probably do your cook-off for the virtual cook-off in a real kitchen with them and their supervision. And then you would just have to take a lot of pictures of every single step you take. So I'm going to do a run through. I'm going to give you guys an example for what I'm looking for, but you're just going to demonstrate your knowledge. So like if you already cook some suppers, that's fine. Well, we're not actually going to be cooking, Braylee. We're going to be like finding some chef outfits, we'll be in a thing, and we're going to walk through exactly how you would prepare a meal. So you talk about the different safety tips you'd use. You would talk about what you would be cooking. So you get to choose whatever you want for it. First, we're going to be cooking a meal as a class, a fake meal. And we're going to be talking about how many ingredients we use, how do we cook it, what are we doing, how often do we wash our hands, how do we hold a knife properly, stuff like that. And we're going to just go through and you're going to explain step by step what you would do if you would actually be cooking this. And we're going to do it in a virtual kitchen. So a lot of it's going to be just us talking about it. But like I said, if you have parents that want to support you doing this in a real kitchen, I will allow you to actually do it under their guidance. And that's only if they want you to. So like the norm expectation is us to be doing it in 3DU and just talking our way through it. That's fine, Timothy. I don't expect you guys to know how to do anything. That's why we're doing it. So we can teach you how to be safe. I'm teaching you guys how to be safe in a kitchen. And then recipes are super easy to follow as long as you know how to do stuff safely. Okay? Yeah, that's all. Go ahead.
I already know most of this stuff, and do I need parental guidance? I already cook multiple meals a day for myself.
Yeah, you definitely need guidance or permission. Like, I'm not going to say you have to do this for me, because, like, if something happens to you when you're in the kitchen, well, one, it would be horrible because I would feel very bad. And then also I could get in a lot of trouble for telling you guys to do something in the kitchen. So I'm not telling you guys to do anything in the kitchen unless your parents want you to. So that's entirely up to them.
But I don't need them to be like helping me and watching me.
It's entirely up to them.
Okay.
I would prefer that. I would strongly prefer that they are like watching you, or like, especially depending on what you're making. I would rather you do it in 3DU or with their guidance or their supervision, I should say. And that's if they want you to do it in the kitchen. Because I'm just saying, like, if your parents want you to do it in the kitchen, you can. Otherwise, it's a lot easier if we just do it in 3D.
Okay.
Because I don't want you guys being in the kitchen working on stuff unless it's like microwaving without guidance, without supervision, okay? Like, if you want to do it on your own time, that's fine, but it can't be part of a school project.
Okay.
So, yeah, if your parents aren't able to, like, supervise you doing it, I would rather you do it in 3DU. Just for the assignment. Because I worked, yeah, and that's not, I know it sounds silly, especially for some of you guys who cook all the time, but I worked in restaurants for like 11 years, and I have seen a lot of people get really hurt. So like even people who should know what they're doing, accidents happen. And that's why I really don't want you guys to be doing anything in an actual kitchen without your parents or like an older, over 18, like sibling there to keep an eye on you just in case something happens.
Yeah, that's what happened to my mom. She was trying to deep fry something and almost caught the house on fire.
Yeah, I definitely don't want you guys doing anything like that. Nothing more serious than microwaving. And
The whole stovetop was on fire.
yeah, that's scary. Like when I was 14, guys, I actually put a knife through my hand when I was working in a butcher shop, and like I burned myself so many times and cut myself so many times working in kitchens just because these things happen. No matter how well you know things, people get hurt in kitchens. So I'm actually just gonna flat out no, don't do that unless parents are gonna supervise you.
And for the cook-off, is it like anything we want to make?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll go over it. I mean, next week we're gonna do something as a class, so you get the hang of it. But start thinking of things you might want to try to cook. If you know how to actually cook it, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I do know how to cook most things.
Okay, well that's good. That's awesome, dude. Because then in 3D you can just like you maybe could be one of the first people to go, and then you give other people an idea. So like I'd want you to say like, how would you like say you're mixing something? You'd be like, I'm gonna get out a bowl and I'm gonna get out a wooden spoon. I'm using a wooden spoon, not a fork or a blender or whatever, and explain why and how long you would mix it, and then if you like pour a couple of cans, like say you're making cupcakes. You'd say that you're going to preheat the oven to what temperature, for how long, how are you going to carefully put something in and out of the oven. Just like walk us through it.
So basically like a cooking show type thing.
Yeah, basically like a cooking show. Okay, wonderful, guys. So that's it. Yeah, sorry we didn't have a super interactive week this week, but I wanted everybody to just kind of chill and talk a little bit about their breaks, and I wanted to tell you guys what we're going to be doing in the next couple weeks because it's going to be lots of fun. That's it, everyone. Oh, and I get a lot of people asking me about the Bible memorization verses and which ones they are. You guys know they're written right here, right? Right here by Fred. All right. Bye, guys.